Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Sound Smoke Machine, and in this episode we're going to be doing another round of quick fixes on this, my 1998 Range Rover P38 project. So first thing we're going to be doing obviously is replacing this inlet manifold. The one that is on there at the moment, as you might have seen in the previous episode, has a great big hole in it, so that's no good. Whilst that's off, we're also going to be replacing the glow plugs, because that's one of the things you can get to that's under there. And if we get time, we're going to be throwing this on as well, which as you guys can see is obviously a N-Law anti-tank missile system. So that's that bit off. And if you can see there, that's the problem that we're going to be solving by replacing the inlet manifold. Is a great big hole that's been either cut or worn, can't quite work out, but into one of the tubes of the inlet manifold. So that's obviously no good. So EGR pipe is 13mm, 2 bolts going into the EGR valve here. So then boost pipe off. Got this nice new set of Halfords, one of the big 150-piece sets, but they come with these nice new ratchets. Halfords always upgrading their stuff, and they just seem to get better and better year on year. Not sponsored, but just a tool that I like to use. I've pretty much always used Halfords tools ever since I started working on my own cars, probably 15 years ago. Quite nice long ratchet as well, which always helps, stuff like this. And the only ones that I can see that might be tricky to get to with this are going to be the ones at the very back of the head, back there on the very back pipe, and the one that's obviously below that, but everything else I should be able to use this. Start taking a few of these off. Where's my ratchet gone? Oh, the sun is so nice on my backside. Oh, there's not actually a nut on that one. Someone didn't bother putting that one back on again. Don't blame them. One thing I've just noticed that we are going to have to do, but which is thankfully pretty easy to get to on this engine, is the leak-off pipes here on top. So between all the injectors, if you can come around and have a look at this guy. All of these little pipes here which go between the injectors to run off the spill. They're looking a bit old, some of them, so I'll have to see if we can get a length of that and replace it. But not a job for now. There we go. We've just got this vacuum pipe, I'm guessing it is, or a pressure bleed off pipe underneath. And there we go. Old one off. So yeah, that's the reason it was coming off, is just because either somebody cut it for some reason to give access, or it was rubbing on something that was above it. So yeah, bit of a shame. What I might do is take off this EGR valve and swap it over to the new manifold, because this one's a bit cleaner and a bit less knackered looking. But for now we're going to have to start looking at those glow plugs, so let's take a look. Just a reminder guys that you can head over to my Patreon and become a member if you want to get some behind the scenes action and also get access to ad-free videos. Yeah, just a little reminder. So with glow plugs, everybody knows who has ever tried to work on their own diesel car, that getting glow plugs out can be an absolute nightmare. Quite often you'll see stories of people snapping them off in the head, and then once you've done that, really there's no other option but to get the head off the car and take it to a machine shop to be sorted out properly. So we want to do everything we can to try and avoid that, basically, that situation. Now I've got 3 different cans of penetrant or water displacer here, WD-40, AC-90 and some GT85. Basically any of these will work. My favourite is actually GT85. This is a PTFE one, and it seems to penetrate a lot better than WD-40 and stuff like that, but they'll all do a similar job. Now some people say that it's best to get the engine hot before you do this. I can kind of see how that would work, but in my experience it just makes everything hot and uncomfortable to work on when you're trying to get the plugs out. So I'll just leave them as they are, attack them with lots of GT85, WD-40, and just be very careful as we're taking them out. So first thing we're going to do is take off these glow plug wires which are connected on top. don't be shy with this stuff, just get it on there. The cost of a can of this stuff is going to be a lot cheaper than if you snap a glow plug off. Pretty tricky to get these out without dropping the nuts. Yeah. I've got 5 of them, dropped 1 of them. 5 out of 6, not too bad. So now we can pull off the wires going to each plug, tuck them out of the way. I'm going to give the plugs one more spray with a bit of GT85, and then I'm going to go make a cup of tea. I mean, ideally you would let this sit for 24 hours or longer. I forgot to do that, so we're not going to be doing that, but any time you can give this to penetrate a little bit, it's going to definitely help you getting the plugs out. So we'll give them a good spray, good soak. Now that I can see the threads nicely. And then we're going to go boil the kettle, make a cup of tea, and we'll come back in about 20 minutes. So they've been sitting for half an hour now with the penetrant working away. So we can come in with our 12mm 6-point socket. So pretty important you have a 6-point socket on this rather than a 12-point, just so you don't round off your glow plugs. And that was ridiculously easy. So hopefully that's a good sign. It means that these are going to come out fairly easily. So let's take this guy out and have a look. It may also mean they've been replaced fairly recently. And I would say that is probably the case looking at these. They're pretty clean. NGK, I'm pretty sure, which is exactly what I'm putting back in again. So there we go. Hopefully they'll come out that easily. Yeah, nice and easy. Oh, yep. Not too bad. So yeah, I'm guessing these have definitely been replaced at some point in the fairly recent future. Recent past. As these would normally be a lot more difficult to get out than that. They normally fight you a bit more than what they're doing right here. So it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing really, because obviously we know it was struggling to start a little bit in the cold, and I was hoping this would be the cause, these old glow plugs. But I guess there's still the possibility that they could be faulty, even though they're not that old looking. Oh. Number 4. Okay. And the last one is tucked away underneath the front hose. There we go. All 6 successfully released. That's a fantastic result. Are they? HK. Not entirely sure, but they're Japanese. They've got a made in Japan mark on them anyway, so they're probably not a bad quality part. So there's our old ones. We'll perhaps take these to the bench later on and give them a test with the multimeter, and I'll show you guys how we can do that. But for now, let's just start throwing in our brand new NGK ones here. So yeah, there's our new NGK part with a new little nut as well, so they supply, so that's always good. And always good to check that they're exactly the same as the ones you're taking out. So yeah, I mean that looks fairly old, pretty well corroded up top. You know, that could easily be 10 years old. So yeah, definitely a good thing we're replacing these now. So I'll start shucking all these into the box. So we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just going to put them in by hand at first, obviously. The threads don't really need to clean, they're pretty clean from what I can see. And obviously anything you spray in there is going to go straight down into the bores of the cylinders, so my advice, probably best not to do that. Get the threads started by hand. The workshop manual for this actually says to remove these injector pipes, which you can kind of see why that's the case, because it would definitely be easier to get onto some of these plugs if it weren't in the way, but it's definitely possible to do it without, and it saves the job of disconnecting all those injectors and then having to rebleed the system again once you start it back up again. So I'm just going to snug them up now. These would have a 20 Newton meter torque setting on them. My torque wrench is broken, unfortunately. Got another one coming, but for now I'm just going to use the old calibrated arm here. It's not that critical, it's just you don't want them to be obviously loose enough that they're firing out their head, and you don't want to be doing them up to the point where you're destroying the aluminium threads. So it's kind of just a good judgment call, and it's going to be about that sort of amount for me. Sort of one grunt, and then we know it's torqued to roughly the right amount. Sort of feeling the threads as you go. There we go. That's all 6 tightened up to roughly 20 Newton meters. There we go. Onto the wires next. Stay on there. So just giving the mating faces of the inlet manifold a little bit of a clean up, using some brake cleaner. You could use WD-40 for this as well, but getting my brake cleaner is it will mostly have evaporated by the time we get to start the engine again, so it shouldn't cause any combustion issues. So yeah, just going to get these fairly clean, just so we've got a decent mating surface for the gaskets, and then we'll throw the inlet back on again. So there we go, so it's cleaned up. Don't have to be perfect, just clean enough to let the rubber seals on the inlet manifold seal on there properly, which it will now. So next, we're going to offer up the new manifold, start putting some nuts on, and then that'll be pretty much it for this job. So here's our good inlet manifold with the original EGR valve on the end. So we'll just offer this up now. I've cleaned up, as you guys saw, mating faces on there, and I've also cleaned up the rubber O-rings on this manifold as well. So let's see how easy it's going to be to get this to sit where it needs to go. There we go. Happy days. Stick our nuts on, button everything up, give it a bit of a clean, and that's it. So that's the manifold changed over, all the glow plugs sorted underneath. Now that's done, I'll give this a bit of a clean up, we'll throw the pipework back on top, and then we're going to start her up, let it pump the suspension up a bit, and then we're going to get underneath it and start looking at this exhaust that we've got to fit over here. Happy days. Top done out. the JS2000 is going to have enough juice to get the old M51 cranked over again. Okay, he didn't like that. Got 75% charge in the top down, that should be enough. Rangie is beeping like mad. Strange. I wonder if the pump is working. Has it got a pump in the tank? Yeah, there's not a huge amount of whatever it is.
No, not a lot at all.
Getting back up. But there is fuel there. Is that the tank in the middle? It is, isn't it? I think the pump's running alright. Yeah, I've just heard it. Top Don died now. Hello guys, Future Sam here. So yeah, not exactly a very positive end to the video there. I thought I'd just give you guys a little bit of an update and a bit more of some context now that I'm just editing the video and putting this together for you guys to watch. Yeah, so after we did that manifold change and the glow plug change on the Range Rover, I went to start it up because we wanted to do the exhaust underneath. But as you guys saw, it didn't want to start. It just did not want to even try and fire. Even flattening two of my my battery jump packs on it, it was definitely turning over fast enough to start, but just didn't want to fire. Now, at the time I was filming the video, I'd actually forgotten that the last time I ran the Range Rover, which I think was actually for the last video that I filmed, just when I was packing my tools away and I had the car idling, it actually died out on me as it was idling away there. So it was just sat there idling. As I say, I was putting my tools away and it just suddenly, the rev started dropping down very slowly and it just suddenly cut out. As I was really tired and I couldn't be bothered to start looking at it right at that second, I was putting my tools away, as I said. I didn't look into it. So I'm guessing that whatever's causing it not to start now is the same thing as whatever caused it to cut out, yeah, those few weeks ago. So yeah, as you guys saw, I was looking at the fuel. I was looking to check to see if there was any air in the in that clear fuel pipe that's down the front there. I was listening to see that the tank was pumping. I was listening to hear if the in-tank pump was pumping away, which it is. I do need to double check there is actually enough diesel in this. I'm pretty sure I put a good amount in it when we first got it, about 20 litres or so. I mean, we have run it a fair bit since then. It's been turned on and off and pumped up and down quite a few times since then. So, you know, maybe it's used up more than I think. But yeah, it does seem like we might have an issue with fueling of some kind. So as I'm really keen to get the Range Rover on the road and running, and there's just really kind of a few more jobs that I want to do before it's, you know, really ready for its NCT or its RHM MOT. I think the next thing I'm going to try is go and get a bit more diesel. We'll get another 5 or 10 litres and chuck that in, just see if that helps. And I'm also going to put a new fuel filter on it as well, because we don't know the condition of the fuel tank on this. It's been sat for quite a long time. We could have pulled through some crap into the fuel filter there. So yeah, got a few other things I'm going to check. If you guys have any suggestions, if there's any P38 gurus out there who might have any idea about what's happened with this, symptoms, as I said, is cranking, not starting, and it cut out whilst it was idling a while ago. That's all I can tell you guys, unfortunately. I guess I should also plug the Nanocom into it and see if there's any useful fault codes coming up on there, but there probably won't be, seeing as it's a bit of a more basic system than the L322, but we'll give it a go nonetheless. But yeah, any suggestions you guys might have, let me know. Be very gratefully received. Anyway, as I said, really keen to get this on the road. Can't wait to drive it on the road. Can't wait to get it up and running fully, back to its former glory. And we've got loads of parts stacked up ready to go. So yeah, I'm really keen to get back on this. As always, guys, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And don't forget to join my Patreon if you fancy supporting the channel and projects like this. There's not a huge number of people on there at the moment, but the people that are on there are enjoying ad-free videos, and they also get a few behind-the-scenes videos as well that I put up on there from time to time. Yeah, so with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.